from the local station. This is Weather Authority Weekday.
Everyone, meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. It is Monday, the start of the first full week of November. Hard to believe it's already November. I feel like the year is flying by. And we are tracking relatively dry weather to start out the weekend. In fact, we had temperatures over the weekend generally in the 60s and 70s. We're looking at another day today with highs in the 70s. And we're taking a live look right now in Jacksonville. So it is comfortable with that sunshine. And we're looking over the city there, not seeing any, at least areas of disturbed weather. We'll have a couple of clouds pop up today. That should be about it for our area. Here's a look at Jacksonville International Airport, tracking more sunshine here as well. You might be wondering, well, what is the temperature at the airport? Well, we are looking at a temperature right now of 66 degrees. That's down from the 40s, which is where we were this morning, and 50s for some of us. And we have that northerly wind. We're on the backside of that system that brought a couple of spotty showers to our area yesterday, mainly across Georgia is where we saw most of the rain. But starting out a new week, there goes that disturbance, bringing rain to portions of the Carolinas up into Virginia, also over to portions of the Delmarva Peninsula. And notice to our west, that big blue H, that's a large area of high pressure allowing for the southeast to be fairly dry over the next couple of days. So if you have any outdoor plans, really no issues with the weather in terms of any rain. We certainly could use the rain though. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But what we're looking at is certainly a comfortable day of weather with highs for most of us today near 70, still several degrees below normal, but at least we have that sunshine and very comfortable weather overhead. Now, live look at temperatures. We are looking at 60s for most of us. It's 61 in Waycross, 63 in Brunswick. We have Mayport at 65, 66 in Jacksonville. Lake City's reporting 57 degrees, and at 62 in Green Cove Springs. St. Augustine reporting 66. So as we head through our morning into the afternoon, look for more of that sunshine to be around. We'll have temperatures up to near 70, kind of on either side of 70 for the afternoon. And then eventually we'll be back into the 60s by this evening with generally a clear sky. In terms of high temperatures, as I mentioned, we are looking at upper 60s to low 70s across our area. So it is certainly a comfortable day of weather with a high temperature today right around 70 in St. Augustine, low 70s in Green Cove Springs, 73 in Palatka, 72 in Palm Coast. Now, in terms of weather tonight, with that clear sky, that will allow some chillier air to move in. In fact, we are looking at temperatures into the upper 30s to low 40s, generally west of the metro. McClenny over to Lake City, Waycross reporting low 40s tonight. And then east of the metro, closer to the Atlantic, we are looking at temperatures in the low to even mid-50s for many locations. Into our day on Tuesdays, we continue through the week. We are looking at temperatures back into the 70s. Generally, most of us right around the low to even mid-70s. Southeast Georgia, though, we are looking at 69 in Brunswick, 73 in Waycross for the day tomorrow, and then mid to even upper 70s for many locations. We'll start to notice a warming trend as well as we head through the week. Now, as we head into the evening hours, we are looking at a couple of clouds to pop up over us, and that's in association with a little disturbance nearby that's not bringing us any rain, but a few clouds will try to move in overnight into the day on Tuesday. But for the most part, we are tracking plenty of sunshine. Now, I do want to focus on our rainfall forecast over the next few days, and that's in association with that disturbance. You can see that green to our northeast. That's where most of the rain will be as we head through the week. But we're very dry here across our area. Now, we certainly need the rain because that deficit has been building over the past couple of really months for that matter. And let me show you where our deficit is in terms of our drought tracker. Now, the Weather Service releases this every Thursday, so this will get updated in a few days. And really, there hasn't been much rainfall to put a dent in that drought. In fact, where you see some of the gold and even red out of our viewing area, though, that is a severe and even extreme drought. So that's where we have a rainfall deficit over 5 to even 10 inches across our area. And what that means is we will be looking at certainly that drought to build over the next few days, as we're not expecting any widespread rain across our area. Notice, though, along and east of 95 into St. Johns County, that's where we do have a better, at least, a drought forecast with no drought monitor around. But what we'll be looking at is certainly this to perhaps worsen over the next few weeks with a relatively dry pattern in place. I do want to show you our rainfall deficit. Now remember, this is where we see the deficit each month, and that adds up. And I was just checking Lake City in Columbia County. Look at those deficit numbers, close to 10 to even 15 inches of rain in deficit for the year. That's pretty significant, and that's close to where we have that severe and extreme drought. Even other locations, Palatka, 10 to 15 inches in deficit, and notice even some other spots not on that map are reporting a very significant deficit. And what does that mean in terms of our forecast? Well, we need the rain, but there really isn't much in sight. In fact, on our clouds and radar forecast, as we look over the next few days, you will see really not much weather happening because of that big blue H we have overhead. You can see that area of high pressure, and that is really dominating the southeast all the way up and down from the Carolinas down to Florida. The only exception is South Florida, where some tropical moisture will be moving in by Tuesday and Wednesday. By the way, as well, we are tracking our supermoon, which will arrive by the middle of the week. That's the full moon of the month. And what that will do is actually bring our at least tidal flooding threat up just a little bit. So we could be tracking some threats with some flooding. But again, we're not seeing any rain leading to flooding. It would just be strictly tidal based, because look at how dry we are through Wednesday and then even into the day on Thursday. Notice that area of high pressure is directly over our area, and then we could be tracking a front arriving later in the weekend into next week. But until then, notice those arrows coming in from the south. That is a warmer wind direction for us, and what that means for our areas, we'll be looking at some warmer weather on the way as we head into the end of the week and the upcoming weekend, which is good news if you like those warmer temperatures. But notice really not much weather around in terms of any rain over the upcoming week. Tropical weather outlook, remember we had Melissa. That is well away from us now, not even a threat. But what we are looking at the Atlantic Basin, are we looking at any tropical waves? And there is nothing in the basin that is very concerning by any means. In fact, remember, hurricane season continues through the end of the month. So what that means for our area is that we will be looking at really just the next month of watching for any development. Now, we're not seeing anything. So good news for our area. If you are looking at any travel plans into the Caribbean, no threats from the tropics over the next 7 days. Let's talk about our 7-day forecast, though, because we will be looking at temperatures right around 70, if not the lower 70s, as we head into our day on Tuesday. And then look at temperatures later in the week. How about that? So the average high is in the mid to upper 70s. We were below that over the weekend with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. But notice through the rest of the upcoming week into the weekend, we are looking at highs near 80 degrees. So temperatures will rise above normal. We are looking at a good amount of sunshine as well, and that southerly wind will really allow those temperatures to go up later in the week into the weekend with a high temperature by Saturday near 81 degrees. And then eventually we're in the upper 70s by Sunday and Monday. Overnight lows for the most part will be climbing as well, somewhere in the mid to upper 50s over the next few nights, eventually into the 60s by the weekend. So we are tracking, once again, really not much weather this week. Aside from the supermoon bringing a greater threat for tidal flooding, I'm not seeing any widespread rain across our area as we head over the next 7 days. Of course, if anything changes, we'll be sure to let you know. You can get the latest information as well and the latest forecast online on the app and, of course, on air. But for now, though, have a great rest of your Monday.
See why every day more people are choosing News4JAX, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.